Hi. We're experiencing a little technical difficulty.
Yeah, well,
we're about ready to go live.
Yeah.
Here. Before we get started, we actually really want to thank our sponsors. Our first sponsor is Greeley Station, making this possible.
And when we get back on our, when we get to open the doors again, we'll be having our boxcar races on the boxcar racetrack that HPE employees built for us. So thank you.
Yep, super fun. Okay, so we've been talking about energy. Right?
Woo! Yes.
Remember types of energy. We have the PowerPoint that you all can follow along with once this goes posted onto YouTube. So you don't have this live, but you will have it shortly. We're going to talk about types of energy today, and we have this little worksheet that you can print out and have at home to work with.
Yes, it's also available right now on our Facebook page for the Colorado Model Railroad Museum. So this is available there. If you do not have a kit at home, you could still follow along and print up from.
And you can draw everything today that you're going to need. You could just draw by hand too.
Absolutely.
So what we're going to talk about is different types of energy, how they're interconnected, how they get to your home, and at the end we're going to build like your dream energy story for a dream home that you would build.
Yes.
So,
and while you're watching this, we are live, so please do feel free to send us your questions or comments, and we will make sure to answer them on air. We'll also send your photos and videos to our Facebook channel. We do appreciate everybody from last week who has been uploading pictures and videos and even sending your emails and text messages telling us about how much fun you're having. We do enjoy the feedback. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, so last week we talked about how energy is everywhere. And energy cannot be created or destroyed, just transferred to different forms. So today we're going to go a little more in depth on what those different forms are. But we also want you to keep in mind potential energy and kinetic energy, which is what we learned last time. Remember, potential energy is when you're still.
Did anybody take a potential energy nap? And
then kinetic energy is when you move. And when you're doing work. So hopefully you took the potential energy nap this week. And now you're using kinetic energy to do this project with us.
Yes, I'm using my kinetic energy.
So that's
today.
our review. So where does energy come from, Misty?
The sun! Energy is awesome.
The sun is the base of a lot of energy that we use.
It is.
So what is the most basic thing you can get from the sun?
Heat.
Heat. It's passive solar energy. In your home, you may have a window, probably at a door or somewhere low, and your dog or cat lays in that little sunbeam on the floor.
Or maybe you like to nap there.
That's because it's warm. The sun gives us passive solar heat. It also will light your home when you have windows, right?
Right.
You open the curtains and the room lights up. So that's one of the basic forms of energy is solar. Now we can also harness solar energy, right? By taking the heat from the sun, putting it on this energy pad, and that goes to our electricity.
And we'll be learning more about solar energy when we do our solar ovens. I think that is later on in our programming. So do remember it's coming down the pipeline. Stay tuned for that.
When we make our solar ovens, this is the kind of the technology we're going to use.
Yes.
The other kind of energy that actually does really start with the sun is
welcome your feedback and comments, because before we started broadcasting, we couldn't figure it out.
What his official name is. However, we do know this one.
He's related to the T-Rex, though. This is, I believe, a cousin or something from the T-Rex. This is thanks to one of our volunteers, John.
Yeah.
Told me about that a long time ago.
He might be like an apatosaurus, but we're hoping you will know and tell us.
Yes, yes.
These two actually came off of the layout here at the museum. They're part of the I Spy game. So we thought they could join us for education today.
Yes.
So what do the dinosaurs need to live? Let's start there.
Well, they need the sun.
And then they need plants,
They do. And water. We have water.
No, well,
we do have water,
but
we do.
So the sun gives the energy for photosynthesis to the tree. The dinosaurs eat that. And then when the trees and the dinosaurs and everything, when they die and become fossils, then they become a fossil fuel. Fossil fuels come in quite a few forms. There's coal, right? We have coal. And then we've got your oil and gas industry. That's the sun.
That's this one. Right. There's oil. And then there's...
So those are kind of the fossil fuels. So let's talk about just a couple of them. Let's start with coal. So what happens with coal? When coal comes out of the ground after it's mined, it would go to a factory.
What?
The factory would then produce energy that goes via the, where's the power pole?
Oh, here it is.
You know what? I said power earlier and I had the wind.
You did. Did anybody catch that? No? The drink.
Exactly. So this could be lobby time. Or time to look at your sheets and cut your stuff out.
If you have to use the restroom, this is a good time too.
Well, I don't want to lean down and get that one.
We are live.
Are we live? We're back.
We experienced a little technical difficulty. Thank you for staying connected. And so we're going to pick up where we think we left off.
Yeah, which is fossil fuels.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about fossil fuels. And
Which means dinosaurs. So what we did before we got started, Michelle went around and pulled some dinosaurs from our layout. So when you do come back to the museum, they will be somewhere else. But one of the things we are challenging ourselves and our audience is, what kind of dinosaur is this guy? We do know, I understand from one of our volunteers, John, who told me a very long time ago, it is in some way related to the T-Rex. So that's the only clue I have for you.
I thought it was an apatosaurus. But
Well,
I could be completely wrong.
Let's find out. Please let us know. Absolutely.
This one is Colorado State dinosaur. This is the Stegosaurus. And I'm sure you probably learned about him in 4th grade, or you will when you get to 4th grade.
Absolutely. Fun
Learning about the
fact
state dinosaur
is in Colorado, and we'll learn more about this later on down the line, but there were 10 dinosaur fossils found in Colorado.
Yeah,
so
different kinds.
Since you brought that up about that being Colorado's state dinosaur, which I didn't know we had one. This is exciting. Okay, but we're going to get back to fossil fuels.
Back to fossil fuels. So what happens is the sun. We have the sun, and the sun makes the plants grow, and the dinosaurs eat the plants. They eat each other.
Let's not forget that.
But when all of this dies and becomes a fossil, then that over time becomes a fossil fuel. And so one that's really well known is coal. Coal is mined, and when the coal is mined, it's taken to a power plant. And this is representing a power plant. And so then what happens is that coal is turned into electricity. Mm-hmm. And then from there we have our power chain. We have for the electricity to the home, to the plug in your home. You plugged it into the outlet, and that got your light bulb to light up. So there's your fossil fuel energy story of coal. There's another kind. Let's talk about that one. Take these back. So the next kind is oil and natural gas. It's still the same thing. It's still the fossil fuel.
Right.
But this one would be in liquid form or in gas form,
right,
instead of a solid like coal. But what happens is these then, through a chemical energy, turn into a liquid fuel. And then that is what we use for planes, cars, and the diesel electric locomotive. So we have planes, trains, and automobiles here, all powered by a liquid fuel that comes from a fossil fuel.
That all started with a dinosaur, which came from the energy from the sun.
So it's all one big story. So let's talk about some other forms of energy. Let's pull these back off again. So let's talk about, I'm about to throw it down. Wind and water are also forms of energy. So what happens when the sun heats the atmosphere and there's clouds in the sky and a storm might form, or like a pressure change, and what comes out of that is
wind.
And then you can harness wind with a windmill, which we see a lot of these in our part of the country in Colorado. There's a whole lot of these windmills. They take the motion powered by the wind to turn those turbine blades, and that motion becomes then electricity. And same chain, it can go to the outlet in your home.
That goes to the plug-in that brings you light.
To light your house or your fridge.
So the end result is coming to the home to light the house, light the fridge, heat your home, cool your home.
Right. Now there's another form too that's not solar. It is water, and it's the same thing. And if you've ever wondered sometimes why there's a power plant at a dam, this is another form of energy. We can use naturally flowing water to create energy using like a wheel, a paddle wheel, and this goes way back in time, the use of water to power things, back to the time of the Romans, really.
Right.
And so as the water moves the wheel, it'll create energy. And so then you can do work with that energy. So there is hydroelectric power that can still go straight to your home. So it's just another form of energy.
Comes just right there, end results.
Okay, thermal energy. Thermal energy is not one that's really used often to go all the way to your home, but it's used within your home.
Yeah.
Right? The only picture that we have is the volcano, because you all know that's hot. right? So that's a thermal energy. But when you put a pot on your stove and you turn your stove on, the electricity is creating heat, and that's a thermal energy, which is heating your water, right? So that's a form of that. Another one is actually just heating your home, using electricity with your furnace to heat your home. And then we talked about one last week, which is using heat, thermal energy, to take water, turn it into steam, and that powers your steam locomotive.
That's where we gave the example about the tea kettle pot that goes, I can't make the right noise, but zzz, but you know, it screams.
Yeah. So, okay. There's electrical energy too. Now,
Yes.
we've been talking about it the whole time. Electrical energy is truly just the electricity that goes from the power pole to the plug-in in your home.
To the plug-in, to the light.
And look around your home right now, and you'll find something that's probably plugged in and gets power through electricity. That's the easiest one to find in our homes, I think. So you've probably got a fridge, a TV, a computer, whatever you're watching this on,
Right.
is probably going to be plugged in. Okay, there's another one. This one's called chemical energy. Chemical energy is actually found in so many different forms, and that it's actually my favorite one.
Is it?
It
It
is.
is your favorite
So-
one. Tell me why. Why is it your
Because
favorite
it
one?
involves food. Food is the most basic chemical energy you can find. So when we eat the food, a chemical energy process happens, and it gives us the ability to do work.
Yes.
And so
like run,
we have these people running on your
playing
sheets.
music,
Yeah, anything
the ability to make sound,
to speak. All of that comes from the chemical energy of the food that we eat.
which comes from the sun.
The sun. We can put the sun back
The
up.
sun is almighty powerful. The sun.
Always back to the sun. Okay, so that's kind of the organic chemical energy. There are other kinds, though. I'm going to actually show this one, a real one, with the battery.
Oh,
A lot of
whoops,
us-
I don't have a battery. I have a picture of a
We have
battery.
a picture of a battery, and there's a battery in this flashlight, and this flashlight will turn on because of the battery. Now, that's not electrical. It's not plugged into any kind of power. It is
Right.
a chemical reaction inside the battery that creates the power to light the flashlight. So it's a chemical energy. And I think that's one that most people don't really know that that's chemical.
So there's like just a little tiny battery still has chemical energy.
Yes.
Doesn't have to be
It's
a big
using
battery.
chemical energy to
Wow,
to
fascinating.
power the light.
That's exciting.
Another one we already talked about is creating fuel, right? That's a chemical process, and the fuel for planes, trains, and automobiles. So,
Boats too.
and boats, true. So there's one more kind that we're going to talk about here, actually two more, and this is sound energy. And we talked about the chemical energy that you need to create the sound energy if you're the human creating the sound. Do you want to show our example over there?
Our example over here of creating sound. Our example.
You brought the fun one today.
Oh, I forgot.
Okay, so that was sound energy in our train whistle. But it took chemical energy to give her the energy to pull the handle to
Or
make
I like
the
to call it
sound.
coffee.
So that's how sound energy works. We also have a biomass energy that we just want to touch on briefly, and that's when you take an organic product like wood and you like a tree, and you would burn that to create heat. So we have a campfire example. Or if you had a wood burning stove in your home, that's using a biological thing to create heat.
Yeah.
So it's biomass energy, something from something biologic. So as you can see, there are so many kinds of energy, and energies, when you think about it, is changing form all the time as we use it.
Right.
We're going from solar to heat to electrical to heat in our house again, or maybe chemical. It's all intertwined. Energy is everywhere. And so what we're going to do is kind of create our story
Yes.
about energy. So what we want to do is,
I'm excited.
I made
I'm
one
excited.
example here.
All right.
This is my example of my energy story. So I drew a 2-story house, and the first thing I wanted was the passive solar. So I put windows and doors because I have dogs and cats, and I like light.
I do too.
I also put some outlets in my house, and that way I can power the light or whatever I have in my home. Now, how did that get to my home? I decided that I wanted to have a cloud up here and some wind that would go to the windmill to give me electricity to power that. And I also wanted some flowers, and I didn't have time to draw my cornfield, but I kind of wanted to grow my own corn too. But all that energy comes from the sun. And so that's just one example. So we're going to go ahead and make one. And you have your sheet here, so you can cut your sheet up out of your kit.
What you'll need is some glue.
Yep, glue.
Scissors.
Glue, scissors.
You could use glue sticks, or you could use just a little bit of bottle glue. And if you don't have glue, you can also utilize tape around the house too.
Yep. And you can draw anything you want.
Absolutely.
So we're just going to make one. So some of you had a paper like this where we cut up some poster board.
Some of you had a paper like this, and so whatever you have, it is a-okay. If you want to do it on a smaller piece of paper, that's okay too.
So I'm going to go ahead and start my house.
Oh boy!
And I think I'm going to add an addition onto my house this time. So I'm going to put some walls. I'm 2 stories, and this time I'm going to add another piece over here.
Okay. All right. So I don't know what I want to do.
Now,
so
I'm drawing a cross section of a house as if you were looking at it and the front wall wasn't there.
Okay.
Okay. Right. So that's what, if you look at mine, I drew it as more of like looking inside a dollhouse.
Yes,
kind of
that's
concept.
a great example.
You could also, if you wanted to do a floor map and more of a map, you could do it that way. Like, I'll put my paper over. So doing it that way, my home would be more of a footprint in the ground, like that. And then I would have maybe a road, and draw it like I'm looking down on a map. So you could do it however you want to make your story. And this is building a dream home for you. If you were to build your home anywhere you wanted on any land, what would you do with it and how would you power it? So that's the poster we're making.
Right.
So what are you going to choose, Misty?
I think for me, I'm going to do some solar. I'm going to do solar on my rooftop because I've always wanted solar. So
okay.
And then I definitely want some grass in my yard because I like the feel of grass under my toes.
Okay.
So I maybe it doesn't give energy straight to me, but I feel better, and that's okay, right?
Right.
Okay.
So I'm going to go back to my cross section because I like to have light bulbs in my ceiling. So I've started with a house. A room in there today.
Oh, what are you going to do with that extra room?
I have no idea. I think it's going to be my science room.
Oh, I would have guessed your craft room.
Craft room.
Well, you make science and craft
experiments and art. So I'm adding that on. Okay, so now I'm going to start cutting out some of the pieces, and I'm actually recycling a sheet that didn't print right. So I'm recycling.
Right.
So I'm going to cut out a few things, and you can cut out whatever you want from your paper.
So as we're doing this, feel free to just join us at home, and don't feel rushed. It's okay. I'm going to take some time to give some additional accents to my rooftop. But Michelle, I noticed you were wearing a UP shirt today. Is that your favorite line?
It is. But my shirt today is actually one of my favorite museums to visit. And so I thought I would wear this shirt today to give a shout out to the Gold Spike Tower Museum, which is in North Platte, Nebraska. Now, we have a model train museum here in Greeley, and our trains are only this tall. In North Platte, at the Gold Spike Tower, they are right next to the Union Pacific's biggest real train yard with real trains. And you go up in this big tower, and you look out over this huge train yard, and it is such a fun experience. And so I just wanted to give them a shout out as friends of ours and another awesome museum to visit.
Awesome. Yeah, I've been there, and I have to tell you, I'm going to give a real... So I kept looking for the Gold Spike because we were driving to the Gold Spike Museum. I'm like, so where's the Gold Spike at? Because I'm learning about trains as we go along.
Well, and in fact, we should probably say what the Gold Spike is. So the history of this is when the Transcontinental Railroad, meaning the tracks from the East Coast and the tracks from the West Coast they met in Utah, and a golden spike was the last spike driven into the rail, so that all of America was connected by rail. So when we say gold spike, it's kind of a term we use in railroading all the time that really is a piece of history for us. Now, the tower, did you notice the shape of the building when you drove up to the gold spike?
Yeah, it's kind of like a T, wasn't it? Isn't it? Like
the whole building is
unique.
actually the spike.
Oh, I just learned something today.
So that's why it's called the Gold Spike Tower, because it's actually shaped exactly like that gold spike. So.
Well, today I'm wearing a shirt to honor all the men and women who are currently served and have served in all forms of our military. We want to say thank you. We're very grateful. A lot of our volunteers who are not here right now are veterans, and so we miss you and look forward to everything coming back.
Yep.
Yes.
So we've decided we're going to wear shirts that have meaning for us and then talk about it while we're doing our crafts in the future. So if you have questions, you can always ask us too, or remind us if we forget to say it.
All right.
Okay, so I've got a sun cut out.
Okay.
I've got a cloud cut out, a power station tower.
Man, I'm not a fast cutter. Don't rush. Don't run with scissors.
Think of what else.
Don't rush while cutting.
Trees.
Always practice safety.
And then I'm going to draw some stuff on my paper too to make it be a little more of my story.
Now, it's not often that I get to just sit around and enjoy some craft time. But I have to tell you, Michelle likes crafting. And so I learn a lot from her.
I'm drawing hills around my house here.
I do stick figures. So I can help you master a stick figure.
I'm going to cut out my doors and windows.
All right.
Because I know I want that passive heat. When I was a kid, I used to lay in the sunny spot on the floor all the time. Did you ever do that as a kid?
You know what? When I was a kid, so I enjoyed being out in the sun. However, I spent my time in the shade, and I was barefoot all the time, every summer. I was virtually barefoot.
That's awesome. Okay, I'm going to give myself a door to my house with a window in it, so we get that passive solar. And then I didn't divide my rooms here. We'll have rooms like this. And then I'll put a window here. I like the glue stick because it goes really easy for me to just hit a swipe of glue.
See, I wouldn't have learned that. I would
there.
have been like, okay. So I have my solars cut out. I'm working on that.
Okay. All right.
Do you see a lot of houses in your neighborhood with solar panels on their rooftops? I've seen a few. How about you, Michelle?
Yeah, quite a few. Okay, so I'm going to put a tree outside, and now I've got my passive solar, but now I need some power into my home. So I'm going to cut out some outlets, because I definitely want some outlets in my room, because I think I definitely want to plug in like the refrigerator.
Oh, that is important.
That would be an important one. So I'm going to put an outlet there, and then I'm going to put an outlet over here in the craft room.
Hey, for all of you at home, did you know how they used to keep refrigerators cool before we had electricity? Did you know? Ice, a big giant ice block. So somebody would come around and deliver ice blocks to people's homes and apartments and houses and places of work and restaurants too.
Yep. Okay, so I'm putting my light bulbs on.
We have a quick question.
Okay. Oh, yay, we have a question.
What source of power are each of you using for your home, and why did you choose that power?
Oh, that's a great question. Who asked that? Oh, well, we're very grateful for our viewer there. For me, so when we bought our house, we bought an energy efficient home, and we noticed through the many ways. So we use traditional energy, electrical energy, but we have a lot of neighbors who are solared. And we found some of the things like using energy efficient light bulbs as a way to reduce the use of energy and energy resources. How about you, Michelle?
Well, I was going to do solar too. And I was thinking of throwing some wind in there too. So I am going to cut out one of the wind turbines also and have hybrid power, because you can do that. You can actually have your power source come from multiple ways. So I was going to do both. So I'm going to put this wind way up here on top of the hill. And my power pole is here. And then I'm going to represent wind with my little cloud. And I'm also going to draw some wind in. I like to draw wind because to me it's like little lines with the curlies. Like this. Draw some wind.
So a question we had, when our viewer is interested in what kind we have at home. Oh, what do you use at your house?
I just have plain power. Just normal power from a power plant. Which I'm assuming is coal. I really don't know what my power comes from. I guess I should learn.
I know I don't have a dinosaur at my house. There's no dinosaurs at my house.
No, but there are fossil fuels under your house. There's fossil fuels under everybody's home pretty much.
That's fairly
So here's where I'm at so far. So I've done a house with passive solar, and then I've added the sun with solar here. And then I've also added wind power, and then these two would both connect to the power pole, which will go to my outlet, which turns on my light bulbs in my house. And I added some plants and trees because the sun makes those happen too. And then someday that will become a fossil fuel. So that's kind of my energy story.
Well, I am not as far along as you, and that's okay. If
That's
you are
okay.
not as far along either, and that is a-okay. But so far what I have is I'm going to have I'm going to have a hills in the background where my wind farm will be. I love sunny days, and the sun is going to feed my solar panels, which is going to provide me some power within my home and enjoy more natural light, because this house that I have here really does have more windows on front of it than my house that I actually live in. And so I'm going to have a lot of natural light.
Yep. Okay, well, we are excited to hear what you guys make. You can take as much time as you want on your poster, and you can make more than one if you'd like, and you could even draw everything instead of cutting them out. Use color. We have some markers here if you want to
Yes.
add color to your
Use
poster.
color crayons. You could use paint.
Yeah.
What else?
Pretty
Can I
much
use at
anything you could find at home. You can be as creative as you want to create your energy story.
So this is where I am right now, but I think if we tuned in and waited for Misty to finish, this would be an hour-long show. And I know that you all have some really important things to do today, and I hope all of you are having a fabulous day. And I do want to give a little message before we go. Somebody very special to me is going to have a 70th birthday tomorrow. So I would like to wish my dear aunt and my coolest aunt, Marvel.
Happy birthday, Marvel.
Thank you.
We also, if you enjoyed this and you're enjoying our science series, please let us know, and please subscribe to this channel and like us, and look on Facebook for Greeley Station and Colorado Model Railroad Museum, and you'll get your updates. And if you click the little bell on YouTube, you'll even get notices when we go live, so that you can watch us live if you'd like. So,
And we will be going live every Tuesday and Thursday at 1 o'clock. And if you do miss us live, videos will be uploaded, stay on YouTube, Greeley Station, and uploaded to our Facebook account, the Colorado Model Railroad Museum. We do look forward to seeing your artwork, so please feel free to upload that, share, and let us know what you think. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Have a good day.
bye.